Good evening and welcome. You're with News First, your #1 news provider. I am Shamir Rasooli.
And I'm Dasniya Thada. Let's start off with a look at tonight's headlines.
Tax concessions for motorbikes, cabs and small trucks from midnight. Telecommunication levy to be decreased from the 1st of September. UNP appoints a committee to reach a decision on Minister Vijayadasa Rajapakse. Possible decision by Monday. The Bond Commission reveals what happened to the dividends of Perpetual Treasuries Limited over the past 2 years. A building collapses in Negombo, injuring 4.
President Maithripala says the government's National Reconciliation Programme requires everyone's support and not clashes.
A new 3-story building at Al-Asgar Central College in Tiharia Attanagala was declared open today by President Maithripala Sirisena. The building was constructed under the patronage of Venerable Dr. Pannila Sri Anandathera. We are implementing a broad national reconciliation program to prevent the recurrence of a war in this country. Many people are contemptuous on this subject and are very insulting. They denigrate it and underestimate it. But I must state very clearly that only when the National Reconciliation Program is strengthened and the Sinhala, Tamil and Muslim people have fraternity, trust and friendship will the national economy rise and the country experience prosperity. Everyone in the government has prioritized this difficult task. The President also inspected a building which has not been constructed, although the foundation stone was laid in 2013, and issued instructions to the relevant authorities to complete the project. Meanwhile, President Sirisena also declared open a photography exhibition at the premises of the Bandaranaike Memorial International Conference Hall today, marking the 40th anniversary of the Prime Minister's career in Parliament. The exhibition is being held under the title Heta Dakina Ranil.
Minister of Finance and Mass Media Mangala Samarveda announced several concessions today, including the lifting of the telecommunications levy.
We have decided to completely remove the 10% telecommunication levy. It was proposed in the 2017 budget to increase this to 25% or by 15%. But we have decided not to enforce this budget proposal and to lift the existing 10% levy as well. In truth, this will result in a 25% concession for those using the internet. A manufacturing levy of 1 million rupees was charged on small trucks and single cabs. As per the gazette I have signed today, this will reduce to 700,000 rupees. The prices of small trucks and single cabs will reduce by 300,000 effective immediately. In addition to this, we have also decided to remove the 90% tax imposed on motorcycles with an engine capacity of less than 150 cc based on the value. Will also be removed effective midnight today.
The Parliamentary Group and Working Committee of the United National Party convened today under the auspices of party leader Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe.
The media had received a written invitation to cover an event where the Prime Minister was handing over homes constructed by the Green Blood organisation. Journalists who arrived to cover the event were forced to remain in a small room at the UNP headquarters Sirikota until the Working Committee and Parliamentary Group meeting concluded. In the meantime, UNP ministers and MPs arrived for the meeting. Our reporter noted that the raised voices of several MPs were heard during the meeting. At the conclusion of the meeting, the event organised by the Green Blood organisation was held with the participation of UNP General Secretary Minister Kabir Hashim and State Minister Ravindra Samaravira. It was not like that. He was expressing his opinions.
Okay. Firstly, I do not think that anyone had been informed that a media briefing was to be held here today. Therefore, as it was the day of our meeting, if anyone from the media was inconvenienced, then as the General Secretary, I apologize on behalf of the headquarters of the party. The Parliamentary Group meeting is where our MPs democratically express their views. So we had the discussion in a very open manner. The party has empowered the Working Committee to make an appropriate decision on Monday. On Monday, we expect the party to make some hard decisions.
No, such a thing was not discussed.
Forgive me, I was not aware of it. It was done by the Green Blood organization. You can make a statement on that. This has happened unbeknownst to me. I beg your forgiveness on behalf of everyone. You must ask them. Do not put us in difficulty now. There is no Prime Minister here. Thank you. There is no intention either. We have given them the right to speak freely, unlike other parties. You may remember the past.
UNP Deputy General Secretary Akila Raj Karyavasam expressed these views on the matter.
There were requests from members of the working committee on the matter, the Justice Minister, but eventually it was decided that a new court system would be introduced to expedite the process of hearing these cases. A committee has been appointed and decisions will be made based on their recommendations. He expressed some views, but it was the opinion of the majority of the working committee members that a decision must be made swiftly.
Names of several ministers of the government are in the spotlight these days. Now it is Minister Vijayadasa Rajapakse. Speaking at Sirikota today, several UNP ministers and MPs expressed the following views on Minister Vijayadasa Rajapakse. Let's take a listen.
Individuals who obstruct justice should be removed from positions of responsibility. People who can increase the efficiency of justice being served should be appointed there. We spoke from the heart on this matter at the working committee meeting. These are not deals. There are no cases against us and we are not afraid. We submitted a motion that we have no faith in the Justice Minister. This was adopted unanimously.
Does this mean Minister Vijayadasa will resign?
You must ask him. These are questions on shame and fear. The Prime Minister requested him to convene a media briefing next week and clarify his position. Nevertheless, there are likely to be some changes in the future, along with what action is taken with the media briefing. He must have understood today the extent of the pressure he is facing from backbench MPs and all the other ministers. I believe that he will resign with dignity. We are all expecting this. It was proposed that he be given a better ministry.
Which ministry will be given to him?
The ministry suitable for him is the Ministry of Women's Affairs. No, what I am saying is that he can be given an ordinary ministry like that. The Justice Ministry shouldn't be given to persons who strike deals with rogues. It should be given to people with the spine to catch and imprison thieves who stole the people's money.
Are you saying he is striking deals with rogues?
No, I am saying that it should be either given to Field Marshal or to Ajit Pereira. Or it can be given to me. Give me at least the position of Deputy Minister of Justice and I will throw the rogues in and show you. I said I will even throw our own members in, disregarding party lines.
4 people were injured when a building owned by a hotel adjacent to the Perpetual bridge in Negombo collapsed.
A 3-story building which was under construction adjacent to a hotel in Perpetual collapsed. 7 labourers had been working at the time of the collapse and 6 of them were working on the 3rd floor while the other was on the ground floor. According to a correspondent, the collapse took place when concrete was being laid on the 3rd floor. 4 labourers were buried under the fresh concrete. Locals together with the Negombo police and the Negombo fire brigade acted quickly to rescue the trapped men. 3 workers were rescued immediately after the collapse and were rushed to hospital. However, the remaining labourer was only rescued an hour and a half later. All the rescued men were admitted to the Negombo Teaching Hospital.
Yesterday, we brought you details of a rocket demand and a scam that took place during the previous regime. Today, we are focusing on something more related to Earth and bring you details of a steel scam.
There is a large tax scam taking place in the steel industry. There are around 23 steel producers in the country. These companies evade taxes, and as a result, this costs the country around 15 billion rupees annually. The companies involved in this tax evasion produce steel rods by smelting old steel. If the government allows an industry to flourish within the country, it has to look into it as well. There was a building which collapsed in Vellavatta recently. Engineers from various institutes began to speak up and called on people to be wary of substandard steel. This is because they know that the steel rods created by smelting old steel will not be strong. This is the racket. A majority of the market is being steered by these racketeers.
Who influenced authorities to provide tax concessions for the steel industry to benefit a single party? A special revelation tomorrow.
It appears that the country is being pushed into an energy crisis through a profiteering effort involving several officials at the Ceylon Electricity Board and a group including the Ministry Secretary Suren Batagoda, with the awareness of the minister and the political leadership.
Our viewers may recall these views expressed recently on corrupt dealings and inefficiency in the power and energy sector. Not too long ago, while hearing a petition regarding the coal fraud, the Supreme Court noted that the court's conscience has been shaken. The future of the country's energy sector is in grave danger.
According to the CEB's generation report issued in March, 49% of the country's total electricity generation was supplied by coal-fired power plants. 24% was supplied by independent generators and 17% was supplied by power plants, while hydropower had reduced to 10%. Against this backdrop, the manner in which the CEB has been purchasing power from private power plants is evident. Close examination of the generation report reveals a significant increase in the purchasing of power from the Agrico company. The CEB, which purchased 1.2 megawatts from the Agrico power plant in Gaul in February, purchased 3.6 megawatts in March. At the Agrico power plant in Kurunagala, the amount of power purchased increased from 2.06 megawatts to 5.67 megawatts. According to the CEB, the power was purchased at a high cost of 28 rupees per kilowatt hour. While the CEB plans to generate 395 megawatts from renewables in 2020, plans are also afoot to build a 35 megawatt natural gas power plant.
If tenders can be called within the next month for power plants to generate 1,500 megawatts, then I believe we can obtain these power plants in time. Tenders must be called immediately. The required locations must be identified. After calling tenders for construction, it must be implemented in line with the plan. This must be done swiftly if it is to be done in time.
According to the CEB's 20-year generation plan, which was approved on the 20th of July by the Public Utilities Commission, it is essential to establish a 300 megawatt combined cycle natural gas power plant by 2019. However, a supplier is yet to be chosen for this project. While 8 companies had bid for the tender, 6 have been shortlisted. Among the 6 shortlisted companies is Lanka Transformers, a subsidiary of the CEB. While one tender was opened recently, it was suspended in the face of strong opposition. Questions have arisen regarding Lanka Transformers because since it was bidding for a government tender, another bidder had submitted that this disqualified them from bidding. During the discussion on this, the minister in charge of the police had also spoken about this in cabinet. We recently highlighted that one of the tea factories owned by the minister in charge of the police is a debtor of Lanka Transformers. So there were things which happened before 2014 and after 2015.
The end result of all of this is that more and more contracts are being awarded for oil power plants. The individuals awarding these contracts are in favor of the status quo. 42% of the country's energy supply is now being provided at a cost of more than 20 rupees per unit. Come 2020, we will have to obtain about 60% of the total power generation from oil power plants because the decision made to generate power from low-cost sources are being changed. New decisions are not being made and the procedure for investment is not being implemented. The end result will be high electricity costs for the consumer. They say they are going for systems which will not harm our beautiful environment, but in truth, what are they doing? Suddenly, they are going to purchase 1,000 megawatts from private sector oil power plants. They are going to purchase 1,000 megawatts at 37 rupees per kilowatt hour. The consumer will have to pay a very steep price.
The coal scam is a scam that is on par with the bond scam. Suren Bhattagoda, the ministry secretary involved in the tender process which shook the conscience of the Supreme Court, is still holding his position in that ministry. Generators were purchased and cabinet approval was sought. It was purchased illegally in violation of the tender process and these diesel generators are on the high seas. Suren Bhattagoda succeeded in completely stalling Sri Lanka's investment process for LNG power plants. Later he said it would be an LNG and diesel power plant and in truth worked to establish a diesel power plant in Kerawalapitia. The serious corruption in the tender has already come to light. The same officials behind the coal scam are behind this scam, first removing 2 companies and then removing another 4 companies in order to grant the tender to a company of their choosing. This is a serious act of corruption. The energy mafia, the engineers mafia, the diesel energy mafia and the diesel energy racket which they are trying to reintroduce under the guise of LNG must be investigated.
Lakshman Kiriyale is the Minister of Highways and Education. He spoke on the constitutional reform process at an event held in Vavunia. Now, are the public aware of the constitutional reform process? News First delves deep.
All parties in Parliament to capture power exploited the race relations in this country, and that is where we went wrong. So now we have a new opportunity to create a united Sri Lanka, and that is why His Excellency the President and the Prime Minister are working on a new constitution. For the first time in Sri Lanka, the Honourable Prime Minister is chairing a committee to draft a new constitution where all parties in Parliament, including the TNA, is taking part. We have reached agreement on most of the issues, and in a few weeks' time we will be presenting an interim report to Parliament, and thereafter, if necessary, we will go for a referendum to get the new constitution through.
A poll carried out by the Centre for Policy Alternatives late last year revealed that only 1.1% of Sri Lankans are extremely aware of the constitutional reform process. The research unit at the Centre for Policy Alternatives carried out the poll based on samples where 2,000 respondents spread across all 25 districts were polled. According to the 35-page report compiled by the Centre for Policy Alternatives subsequent to the poll, 34.1% are aware that a constitutional reform process is taking place, but not at all aware about the details and status, while almost 25% of Sri Lankans said they did not know that a constitutional reform process is taking place.
If an amendment to the constitution is truly needed, then the amendment being introduced by them is not suitable to the people of this country. It has been revealed that they are being forced to do this for someone else's agenda. A Norwegian has been made an advisor to the Prime Minister on the Constitution Steering Committee. An amendment was brought in an attempt to extend the term of the provincial councils. This shows the cunning mind of Ranil. He has no sorrow for the country or the people.
What happened to the dividends of Perpetual Treasuries Limited over the past 2 years? The answers were disclosed before the Presidential Commission of Inquiry investigating the Treasury bond issue. Zulfiq Farzan reports on Bondgate.
Perpetual Asset Management Private Limited, which is the holding company of Perpetual Treasuries Limited, was previously known as Perpetual Positive Properties. This was revealed when the CEO of Perpetual Treasuries Limited, Kasun Palisena, was questioned by the Presidential Commission of Inquiry today. For the year 2016, Perpetual Treasuries Limited had paid over 400 million rupees as dividends to its holding company, Perpetual Asset Management Private Limited. During this period, Perpetual Treasuries Limited had invested in government securities and purchased quoted shares of the National Development Bank worth 1.1 billion rupees. Perpetual Asset Management Private Limited in November 2016 had paid 348 million rupees as dividends to Perpetual Capital Holdings Private Limited. It was revealed yesterday that Perpetual Capital Holdings Private Limited is owned by Perpetual Capital Private Limited. Perpetual Capital Private Limited is owned by Arjun Aloysius and Jeffrey Aloysius. Perpetual Asset Management Private Limited had invested 642.69 million rupees in Perpetual Equities Private Limited. Perpetual Equities Private Limited had invested in the shares of National Development Bank, Central Finance PLC and Lanka Ashok Leyland PLC. Kasun Palisena revealed that Perpetual Equities Private Limited only trades in equities and is a player in the stock market, while another entity known as Perpetual Fund Management is non-operational. The total value of the National Development Bank shares purchased by the Perpetual Group is almost 2 billion rupees. The Chief Executive Officer of Perpetual Treasuries Limited, Kasun Palisena, was once again questioned on the telephone conversation recording system installed at Perpetual Treasuries Limited. Now, during the line of questioning, Kasun Palisena said that the system that was installed was customized to a certain point. However, he was not sure about that, and he said that the person in charge of IT at Perpetual Treasuries would know better on this system that was installed at PTL. The Commission thereafter instructed Kasun Palisena to submit an affidavit of his understanding of this system, annexed with an affidavit of the person in charge of IT at Perpetual Treasuries Limited. In the meantime, the Aegis Department made a request that all details of the product that was installed at Perpetual Treasuries Limited be handed over to them. And this morning, according to sources at the Commission, we got to know that representatives from Metropolitan who supplied this phone system to PTL were at the Commission premises for a briefing. In the process of the examination of Kasun Palisena's evidence, PTL had submitted to the Commission 240,000 audio recording clips, a series of box files and documents, while several more are yet to be given. As the Attorney General's Department needs to carefully examine the evidence, it requested for an adjournment until Friday the 25th, and it was granted by the Commission. The Presidential Commission praised the efforts undertaken by the Aegis Department and its officers in this process. W.M. Mendis and Company Limited has disclosed details of 12 bank accounts to the Presidential Commission of Inquiry. Highlighting to the Council for W.M. Mendis and Company Limited that balance sheets must include notes and income as well as expenses, the Commission requested him to produce all these details within this week.
Newsfirst's national campaign titled Sri Lanka Against Corruption was carried out across 2 districts today.
The rogues are calling others the rogues. There are ministers in parliament who are the big rogues. They must be driven out, and a group of youth must be elected to government. A group of intellectual youth must be brought together. The system where a wrongdoer is stoned to death must be introduced to this country. Thereafter, there will be no theft. The corrupt must be driven out. The rogues must be chased away no matter their status. The campaign Sri Lanka Against Corruption took place in the Kaluthara and Batticaloa districts. Following religious observances at the Kaluthara Bodhya, one team set off to the Kaluthara town and proceeded to the Potupitiya, Wadduwa, Panadura, Wattegedara and several other areas.
One group came into power claiming that the others were rogues, but these people are teaching the others how to commit theft.
The team in Batticaloa commenced their journey from the Batticaloa town. Thereafter, they proceeded to the areas of Majimanagar, Sudupatinihenai, Ottamavadi, Sittandi, Valachenai and other areas. The youth must come forward. If they do so, I will be the first from this village to march with them. No one will nab the rogues.
Cabinet has approved the President's proposal for an economic council.
This council will comprise of the President, Prime Minister, the Finance Minister, the 3 secretaries of the respective ministries and the Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. The council will also seek the services of experts in economic affairs and planning. Any form of debate, discussion or criticism can take place inside Cabinet. However, when a decision is made, everyone must comply with that. This will be instrumental to enforce the decisions that are taken by the council in a disciplined manner. This council will be established as soon as possible, and we are drafting the rules and regulations for it.
Addressing a media briefing today, Maithripala of the Left Centre commented on the statement made by former President Rajapakse claiming that he is still the leader of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party.
We wonder if Mahinda Rajapakse still believes he is president as well. Such statements are made by people who are under a great deal of tension or mental stress. We know that there are other people like that in the country. For example, a monk claims that he has become an arhat. Similarly, Mahinda Rajapakse says that he is still the chairman of the SLFP. Maybe he is under a great deal of tension or mental stress. He may be afraid of his family or his previous actions. He should have thought about these things well in advance.
An event was held in Colombo yesterday to introduce a new biotechnology degree program for the Business Management School in Colombo.
Minister of Technology, Technical Education and Employment Susil Premajayantha was the chief guest of the event. The Business Management School has been in operation for 17 years and has been providing education in association with a number of British universities. The dignitaries, including Deputy British High Commissioner to Sri Lanka and the Maldives, Tom Byrne, representatives from the Northumbria University in the United Kingdom, as well as representatives from the British Council in Colombo, attended the event. Former Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Dr. W.A. Vijayawardena, spoke exclusively to News1st regarding the situation surrounding the National Payment Platform and the decisions taken by the Minister and State Minister of Finance.
We are very happy that Minister Mangala Samarivira and State Minister Iran Vikramaratne had completely thrown out the total pay scheme that had been introduced by, that was going to be introduced by ICTA. And they had now got the Sri Lanka Customs to adopt the Lanka Pay being implemented by Lanka Clear with the blessings of the Central Bank. Now, there are two other state institutions like the Income Inland Revenue Department and the Excise Department, which also will have to now go through the Lanka Pay system that is going to be introduced by the Lanka Clear. So, with that, Sri Lanka's, the confusion that we had about the Sri Lanka's payment system, payment and settlement system, is now being cleared by Minister Mangala Samarivira and State Minister Iran Vikramaratne. We must be very grateful to them, and also we must be very grateful to Central Bank Governor Dr. Indrajit Kumarasamy, who had been who had taken a very bold stand with respect to the payment system, despite the pressures that had come to the Central Bank to do otherwise.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight. For the News1st team, I'm Dasnia Falga.
And I am Shamil Rasuldin. Join us again tomorrow, same time, same place. Till then, take care and good night.